This training will demonstrate the reevaluation form. The reevaluation form can be accessed through the Project Input Setup menu. You will need to input a valid FM number. If the FM number you have is not valid, you'll see a warning message indicating that the FM number was not found in the SWEP database. It's possible that it is the correct FM number, in which case you can go to the basic project setup wizard by clicking this link and set up the project there. Then return to the reevaluation form and complete the reevaluation. It may also be possible that your FM number is from a project that's very old and needs to be imported from historic work program data into the SWEP database. If you have a Type 1 project, you can use this link at the very top to go to the Type 1 CE checklist and input it. Reevaluations for Type 1s are done through the Type 1 setup, not through the reevaluation form. The reevaluation form is only for projects with federal classes of action. Now I've input a valid FM number, and you can see the form has changed. The input box and load button have disappeared. The first section is general information. This online form is based on the paper form and replaces the paper form. All submissions for reevaluation must be done through the SWEP tool using this form. Part 1 of the form is for general information, broken down into multiple sections. In Section A, we'll identify the project phase or phases that are being submitted for reevaluation. These are checkboxes and we can select one or more. Section B shows the document type. This is the document type of the original environmental document. In this case, it's an EA. The date of approval of the document has not been populated, but we can select here. We can either choose from the date picker or type the information directly into the form. Section C shows us the relevant project number types: federal aid number, if found, the FM number that we typed in, and the ETDM number for any project that's been identified that relates to this project. Section D shows the project name, location, and limits. This is information pulled directly from the work program database. Section E shows segments of the highway being advanced to the reevaluation phase. We can search by FM number and select from the auto-completed drop-down list. For each record that we add in Section E, we'll need to select whether it's federally or state funded. Section F is prior reevaluations. Here we'll use the FM number to identify segments that have previously been reevaluated and then provide information on the type of reevaluation that was done. I can add additional rows by clicking the Add Row button and putting in an additional FM number. Section G is the project segment planning consistency section. For each of the segments that we added in Section E, segments of highway being advanced, we see a form to complete for the matching FM number here in Section G. Is that segment currently in the adopted CFP LRTP? Yes or no? With comments, and especially if the answer is no, explanation of how implementation and physical constraint will be achieved. Then the phase that's in the current plan, and whether it's currently approved in the TIP, the STIP, for what amount, and the fiscal year for which it's approved. Again, comments or explanation can be input in the comment box. Do this for each section with federal funding. Section H shows my name and title. Next is Part 2, Evaluation of Changes and Impacts. Here we'll evaluate all of the PD&E issues and whether there are impacts on those issues from the project. We'll answer yes or no and provide supporting documentation. We can provide documentation in one of two ways. There's a text box here for each issue that we can type our comments into. The other option is to attach a document containing our comments. We click the Attach button, and the dialog prompts us to choose a file from our local machine. I choose my supporting documentation and attach it. The default description comes from the file name. I can update that to be more descriptive. The default document date is based on the last updated date of the file. I can update that to be more current if I so desire. Next, I'm asked what products are represented in this file. I can check the checkboxes for all of the relevant supporting information that's included in the file. Does this file contain information that supports other topics? If I say yes, I'm presented with a series of checkboxes for all of the PD&E issues. If I know that all of them are supported, I can choose the Select All or Select All with matching products. I can edit this in any way by checking and unchecking the various checkboxes to make sure it accurately reflects what's contained in my file. I'm going to uncheck Economic and scroll to the bottom to save. The reason I unchecked Economic is to illustrate the green check marks. Notice for all of the issues that I did select, the green check mark is here showing, yes, we already have attached documentation supporting it. For Economic, I'll just write my comments in here, and I can also attach a document. I have an Economic only document that applies only to that issue. I can have more than one file refer to a single issue. As long as I have at least one, I'll get the checkbox next to that issue. I can update the rest of this information accordingly and save. When I've finished part 2, I will have answered yes or no for all of these and have either a checkbox with attached documentation and or a comment for each of these issues. Part 3 is evaluation of major design changes and revised design criteria. The types of changes that should be addressed here are listed and numbered 1 through 7. 4,000 character space is provided in this text box for you to paste in or type in your information. If that's not enough space, then certainly attach a document. Just click the Attach button here. We're looking for a PDF document, so include your PDF and select from your local file. Click Open, and again, you can change the document description and you can change the document date if necessary, and save. You see the file listed there. You can edit, delete, and attach more. Next is commitment status. Any commitments that came from the original environmental document should be addressed and updated. Anything that's changed needs explanation and should be included in the commitment document. Again, you can paste in up to 4,000 characters, or you can attach if you have the document in a PDF. So I've got my commitments document. I'll attach that and save. Next section is status of permits. This is permits that have been applied for or issued. We need the name of the permit, the agency, the issuing agency, the date of application or the date of issue if it's been issued, and the number of the permit. All permits should be updated with current status, and that should be in the document as well or typed into the text section here. I'm going to leave that out just for the moment because I want to demonstrate what happens when you have an incomplete document form. So we'll look for that when we go to submitting. Next is the conclusion section, and there's just one checkbox here. So in part 6, we're going to identify if the original environmental document is still valid, and if it is, then we're going to check the checkbox. The above environmental document has been reevaluated. It is recommended that the project identified herein be advanced to the next phase. Part 7 is the reviewer signature block. You see a line here for the district approving authority or designee. Once this reevaluation has been approved by the district, we'll see a name listed here and a date, or the date of approval, listed in the date section. Part 8 is OEM concurrence. If an OEM signature is required, then select yes and choose the date of consultation, a date that the meeting is scheduled with the Office of Environmental Management. Once we've selected OEM signature required, this reevaluation will need to go through the extra step of getting that OEM signature before it's complete. Part 9 is the attachments. We see here a list of files that we've already attached to this reevaluation document. There's our supporting documentation, our economic only supporting documentation. There's a document for design changes and one for commitments. Notably, we left out a document for our status of permits section, which we left blank. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Because I'm logged in as a district environmental manager, my choices here are Save Draft or Approve. If I were logged in as a data entry person, my choices would be Save Draft or Submit for Approval. I can click on Save Draft, and even though my document is incomplete, it's still saved. I get a message in the upper right corner telling me it's been saved. The message goes away after a few seconds. The instructions below my button tell me that I can approve the document, but once it's approved, I will need to use the Environmental Document Submittal form to submit this reevaluation to the Office of Environmental Management for their approval. When I click the Approve button or Submit for Approval button, I'll need to have my document completed. If anything is missing, SWEP should give me a message telling me what I need to do to complete the document. We knew that we had left off the status of permits, and now the software is telling us that we need to make sure it's completed. We can scroll back up to the status of permits section of the document. We see the text is red and the text area is red, warning us that it hasn't been completed. Again, we have the choice of either typing information into the box directly or attaching a document to give supporting information for the status of permits. I select the file on my local machine, click Open, and save. This time when I go to approve the document, everything should be complete. I get this confirmation message showing me the list of documents and the approval history. Note in this green bar there's a link to the Environmental Document Submittal form, so I can move the reevaluation along by submitting it to the Office of Environmental Management. If you have questions about reevaluation or anything else in the Statewide Environmental Project Tracker, please contact the OEM Help Desk at swept@fla-etat.org or call us during business hours at 850-414-5334.